Suisse. Oui, le régiment compagnie. Oui, oui, c'est dans l'Alliance.
Comme la guerre.
Exactement, tout à fait.
Entre les deux pays.
Alors, merci. Mesdames et messieurs, je vous souhaite la bienvenue aux célébrations du 200e anniversaire de visite de Général Lafayette à Leesburg. Nous sommes le corps de Fife et Tambour du lycée Saint-Paul VI en Chantilly, Virginie. Ils sont tellement honorés d'être bien ici pour cette célébration. Oh, pardonnez-moi, mais peut-être que vous ne parlez pas le français. Perhaps you don't speak French. Thus I shall continue in English and in my own voice as well. Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you to the celebration marking the 200th anniversary of Lafayette's visit to Leesburg. We are the St. Paul VI Catholic High School Fife&Drum Corps, which is based in Chantilly, Virginia, and we are so honored to be here for this celebration. And I also welcome the marquee himself, Dr. Foreman. We are Fife&Drum Corps, and we are dressed in the uniforms similar to that of the Regiment PaulVI, which was a French regiment with Rochambeau's army that was present at the dramatic siege of Yorktown. We wish to honor America's European allies who so aided her in her struggle during the Revolution. The Marquis de Lafayette and Washington's Continental Army, Rochambeau's army, the Admiral de Grasse at the Battle of the Virginia Capes, General Galvez and the Spanish Army at the siege of Pensacola, all played a vital role in final American victory in the War for Independence. The first two tunes we play for you will be a salute to this Franco-American alliance. The first tune will be L'Oiseau Royal, which is called the Royal Bird. The expression à l'Oiseau Royal was in the manner of the royal bird, which is this crowned bird, it's this crane. And so it meant kind of dressed up with flourishes and plumes. And then we'll play that wonderful American tune, Yankee Doodle.
October 1781, as the English army marched betwixt the French and the American forces, they refused to look in the direction of the Americans who had helped vanquish them. So they kept their eyes right towards the French, who there were commonly fighting throughout the centuries. But when they passed my division, the Light Infantry Division, and even though I am a Frenchman, I had the honor and privilege of commanding American soldiers, I had my band strike up Yankee Doodle, and all of the English looked in our direction.
who so graciously played with us. Thank you very much. Another round of applause. The next one we're going to play is actually a French musical signal that you may have heard in the French camps in 1781. It's called Le Drapeau. It's the equivalent of To the Color. It was a musical salute to the regimental flag. Le Drapeau. Okay, now. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
I must take my leave now, but I shall return later. But for all to enjoy your beautiful music together, always a friend. Bravo! Bravo!
So as I mentioned previously, that was Le Drapeau, the salute to the regimental flags. And today we are carrying a full-size replica of the regimental flag carried by the Regiment Bourbonnais, as at the battle that was at the Battle of Yorktown. And flags of the 17th and 18th century were huge, beautiful pieces of silk. They were true works of art, and they not only served as a point of reference to the soldiers on the smoky and confused battlefield, but it was also a great source of pride to the regiment. And it was a great honor to capture the enemy's flag, and to have one's own colors captured was the ultimate dishonor, the ultimate humiliation. I also mentioned that Le Drapeau was a musical call used in the French camp. For long before the advent of wireless communication in the Army, music was utilized by armies to relay the commands of the officers to the men. And music would regulate the soldiers' day in camp, and it guided him what to do on the battlefield as well. Musical instruments have been used for signaling since antiquity, but by the American Revolution, Fife&Drum has been used for a long time, starting with the Swiss actually in the Middle Ages. The French drums, and we carry reproductions of them today, were made of wood and brass with ropes, and these leather pieces are called ears here, and these ropes and ears put tension on the calfskin head, and strands of sheep intestine that are wound together, called snares, are placed on the bottom of the drum. Could one of you show the bottom of the drum? These give the drum its distinctive rattling sound. And the deep low register of the drum was such that it could carry under the sound of battle. Now, on the other hand, the shrill, piercing sound of the fife, fife en French, was designed to carry over the sound of battle. The fife is a medieval wooden flute. It has 6 holes, and our fifes are pitched in a conventional modern American tuning, but the French fifes of the 18th century are actually pitched in the ear-piercing pitch of D. So it's very much to go over the sound of battle, but to preserve your ears, we've selected this model. The next tune we're going to play for you is called C'est l'Aviron, which translates to It's the Rowing. It wasn't a musical command, but actually it's a French folk song of the colonial period. And we selected it because it's a song that actually had an impact in North America, because French voyageurs, as they came across the New World for the fur trade, they brought the song with them, and it's still a very popular song in Quebec. So I hope you enjoy C'est l'Aviron. C'est l'Aviron. Instruments up. 1, 2, 1, 2. Or to entertain the troops. And that leads me another point is that music does not serve a solely utilitarian function, and regimental bands would accompany the army to provide ceremonial and moral support to the soldiers. These regimental bands were originally established in 1764, and they consisted of 16 musicians, bassoons, clarinets, oboes, and hunting horns. And so to represent this side of military music, we carry with us a, how do you borrow this? In addition to fifes and drums, we are carrying a European-style circular hunting horn or post horn. If you mail out in Europe, you see that they often still use this as the symbol for the mail service. And this one here is tuned in a higher register, similar to a modern trumpet or bugle. But throughout the 18th century, large French horn-sized ones of these were used often. They were used by the cavalry and the light infantry, actually called chasseur, which means hunter in French. And they were used to relay commands to these troops because it was more portable than the drum and possibly sound horseback, unlike the fife, which requires two hands. These hunting horns were fairly new to the armies by 1776, and it seemed to be used also as an intimidation tactic. During the desperate battle for New York in 1776, the Hessian regiments, which were German allies of the British, were pursuing the retreating American soldiers, and the German Jaeger light infantry they called it the end of a fox chase. And this was very, very much a desire, wanting this advocate, Joseph Reed. He later described this, and I quote, "The enemy appeared in open view, and in the most insulting manner sounded their bugle horns as is usual after a fox chase. I never felt such a sensation before. It seemed to crown our disgrace." To demonstrate the sound of the horn, I'll play for you a hunting call that was used at the start of a hunt. It's called the greeting. That's the greeting, sort of like a assemble for the hunt. As I said, these bands were formed in 1754, so we're still looking to incorporate some of this music in our repertoire. And so we're however, to demonstrate like a bugle march, we're going to play the Voss Bugle March number 1, which is an American march from the 19th century. Bugle march. He's been up. 1, 2, 14 bell towers. Well, in English, it's called Turkish crescent. And in French, it's called the chapeau chinois, or the Chinese hat. It's a ceremonial percussion instrument that makes a jangling sound. Can you give it a first time? Yeah. So, so it's a ceremonial. It originated with the Janissary bands of Turkey, and now the Europeans. How would they have this? How would they have this Turkish instrument? Well, it was quite a fascination in Europe. The Turks were this mysterious rival superpower to the east. They had tried to capture Vienna, Austria, twice. Once in 1529 and 1683. And the Europeans would capture these Turkish instruments, these Turkish crescents, and they became widely used in the popular music of the period in Europe. For example, the great composer of the French Baroque, Jean-Baptiste Lully, he wrote for Molière's great French plays. There was a scene, the march of the Turkish ceremony, he used this in his music. So the Turkish crescent was officially adopted in the French army during the reign of Napoleon Bonaparte, but it was maybe used in the army earlier, and we're still researching if it was in fact brought over to America during the Revolution. And it was so widely used in Napoleon's army later on during the 19th century that sometimes they even made a hand crank to spin it around. But over the years, the Turkish crescent was eventually adopted by the glockenspiel, but they're still quite popular in European bands today, including the elite band of the French Foreign Legion. Well, the next tune we're going to play for you is called Vive Henri IV, or Long Live Henry IV. Henry IV, he ruled from 1589 to 1610, and he was actually the king. He issued the Edict of Nantes, which ended religious conflict in France, and by eliminating this internal strife, it actually allowed him to let France focus on beginning colonies in the New World. And then later, during the beginning stages of the French Revolution, it was rechristened Vive Louis XVI, and it was sung by the constitutional monarchists who wanted the king to be retained with more representation for the people. Thus, these new lyrics praise Louis as the roi citoyen, the citizen king, but sadly, as we know, the radicals won out, establishing the reign of terror, but eventually France emerged no longer a monarchy, but as a republic. Here is Vive Henri IV or Vive Louis XVI.